Word on the street is Martin, Gina, Pam, and the crew are back. No, not a reboot, but a hilarious trip down memory lane to revisit the iconic sitcom Martin. We'll be dishing on what made the show so groundbreaking, where the phenomenal cast is today, and maybe even shedding a light tear. Buckle up, because we're about to celebrate the legacy of Martin and the family reunion it brought to our living rooms for 5 unforgettable seasons. Let's get started. Thomas Mikal Ford as Tommy Strawn. The world is a little less funny today with the passing of actor Thomas Mikal Ford, best known for his iconic role as Tommy on the legendary 90s sitcom Martin. Ford, a powerhouse of comedic talent, died at the age of 52 from a ruptured abdominal aneurysm. Alongside Martin Lawrence, Tisha Campbell Martin, Tichina Arnold, and Carl Anthony Payne II, Ford was a linchpin in the show's success. The comedic chemistry of this ensemble cast continues to resonate with audiences nearly 2 decades after the series finale. Ford's death comes on the heels of the passing of Bill Nunn, another iconic actor, leaving the entertainment community deeply saddened. While Ford's portrayal of the witty and dry-humored Tommy cemented his place in pop culture history, he was much more than a single character. A true character actor, he possessed a remarkable range that extended beyond sitcoms. A motivational speaker and published author, Ford dedicated much of his passion to helping at-risk youth. His acting resume has credits beyond his 132-episode Martin run. Ford starred alongside Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, and Richard Pryor in 1989's Harlem Nights as Tommy Smalls. He played the hilarious goon and kid-and-play antagonist Mink in 1992's Class Act. He flexed in New York Undercover and The Parkers, and even ventured into the animated world with Disney's The Proud Family. But he'll be remembered most as Tommy Strawn, Martin's lovable best friend who we all swore was unemployed, until finding out earlier this year he actually wasn't. It was around the same time the University of Michigan's Fab Five commandeered college basketball with their flamboyance and bravado that the Detroit set Martin arrived with its own quirky quintet. There was Cole's goofiness, Pam's spunk, Gina's feistiness, and Martin's unpredictability. Tommy was the savvy, smooth, yet equally ludicrous glue of the crew. Ford's death calls to mind James Avery, Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who died in 2013. Avery wasn't the main character, but he was iconic, necessary, and eternal. Like Uncle Phil and Radio Raheem, we'll miss the Los Angeles-born Ford forever. And while TV-OWN and MTV2 marathons won't feel quite the same, the best way to pay homage to the man who brought us so much joy is to laugh in the face of pain. There are so many indelible Martin moments. Rest in comedic peace, Tommy. Aside from acting, Ford worked hard at inspiring others, especially children. On his website, Ford sells a pack of 2 children's books he has written, I Am Responsible for Me and Stop the Violence, for $25. Both books aim to inspire troubled youths to make better choices and live better lives. Ford also wrote a series of books called I Am Beautiful. This series is a powerful educational tool. It offers children simple, tangible, and positive solutions to resolve conflict as it guides them towards living drug-free and violence-free lifestyles, he wrote on his site. Ford was the face of Tommy ties by verse 9, and each tie in the collection sells for $75. The Tommy bow ties are priced at $84.99 each. The ties are also reversible, so you get 2 in 1. Ford hosted an annual Tommy Tie Town Hall, where he hoped to bring community leaders and young men together. He believed that young men should be taught how to groom for greatness, and that includes wearing ties. Ford encouraged anyone who attends the event to find a young man without a tie, give him one, and teach him how to tie it. LaWanda Page as Evelyn Porter. While audiences know her best as the pious Aunt Esther on Sanford and Son, her journey began in a world far removed from primetime sitcoms. LaWanda Page wasn't one to wait for opportunity to knock. From a young age, she possessed an undeniable talent for entertaining, a fire that burned brightly throughout her life. Page knew her calling was in show business. She boasted a natural talent for singing and dancing, honed not in formal classes, but through an innate drive to perform. Even as a youth, she graced the stage at the Friendly Inn Settlement, a community center in Cleveland. She honed her comedic skills in nightclubs, performing a stand-up routine that pushed boundaries for the 1960s. Think Mom's Mabley, bawdy, bold, and unapologetically funny. Her act was captured on vinyl for Laugh Records, a label known for its adult-oriented content. Interestingly, this label also housed the raunchy routines of her childhood friend, Red Fox, who later became her on-screen foil. After taking a break from show business, Page was lured back by none other than Red Fox. He convinced her to join his new sitcom, Sanford and Son. Though she had no prior acting experience, the chemistry between Fox and Page was undeniable. Their characters, a bickering brother-in-law and sister-in-law, became a highlight of the show. After retiring Aunt Esther, Page continued to act, playing variations of the sassy senior citizen she perfected on Sanford and Son. Appearances in Friday and Martin showcased her comedic timing and established her as a beloved character actress. Sadly, Page died of a heart attack following complications from diabetes on September 14, 2002, at age 81. Marta DuBois as Maria Rodriguez. For decades, Marta DuBois has been a familiar face on television, gracing the screen alongside some of the biggest leading men. Her career began with guest spots on dramas and TV movies, but it wasn't long before she landed a starring role in the 1980s adventure series, Tales of the Gold Monkey. Though the show itself only lasted one season, it opened doors for DuBois throughout the 80s and 90s. More recently, DuBois has found a home on the Hallmark Channel. Since 2005, she's starred in the McBride movie series as Detective Roberta Hanson, a skilled LAPD detective who partners with the title character to solve crimes. Despite being Panamanian, DuBois was once cast as a stereotypical Asian character, Princess Koji, in Tales of the Gold Monkey. This highlights the challenges faced by actors and actresses of color in Hollywood, even with established careers. Sadly, on May 8, 2018, DuBois died of a brain aneurysm in Los Angeles, California, at age 65. Shirley Prestia, as Madame Anaconda Shirley Prestia, was an American actress who graced both television and film throughout her career. Spanning from the 1980s to the early 2000s, Prestia's talent landed her roles in a wide variety of shows. She charmed audiences with guest appearances on beloved sitcoms like Family Ties, Cheers, and The Golden Girls. Prestia also tackled dramatic roles, appearing in prestigious shows such as St. Elsewhere, L.A. Law, and NYPD Blue. Her ability to shine in both comedic and dramatic settings showcases her versatility as an actress. Beyond memorable guest spots, Prestia had recurring roles on popular sitcoms like Home Improvement and Dharma and Greg. This allowed her to develop characters and build connections with viewers over a longer period. Prestia was diagnosed with brain cancer around 2004. Because of this, she had to stop acting, with her last role being in the pilot episode of the sitcom The War at Home in 2005. She passed away on October 8, 2011, at 64 years old, in her hometown of New Orleans, after an 8-year battle with the disease. Gary Coleman as Mad Dog No Good. Without a doubt, Gary Coleman was the child TV star of the late 1970s and early 1980s. He wasn't your typical cute kid on TV. This little dude with big, dark eyes had a ton of personality and could crack jokes that had everyone laughing. He seemed way older than he actually was, which turned out to be because of a health condition he had since he was a baby. Sadly, after his time as a super popular kid star, things got tough for Gary. He never quite reached the same level of fame as an adult actor, and his health problems kept causing him trouble. This whole situation made him pretty grumpy as he got older, and he ended up having a lot of legal and money problems. It's a real shame because he was such a talented and funny kid. Gary had a rough start, though, because his kidneys weren't working right. By the time he was 16, he'd already had 2 transplants, and the medicine he had to take stopped him from growing taller than 4'8". Even though he was small, Gary was a natural comedian. He started out doing commercials in Chicago, and people couldn't get enough of this funny little guy. A famous talent scout saw him in a commercial and knew he had to be on TV. Gary got his start on shows like The Jeffersons and Good Times, and by the time he was 10, he had his own super popular show. While the show tackled serious themes, it was young Gary Coleman who stole the spotlight. His portrayal of Arnold Jackson, the quick-witted younger brother, became a sensation. His signature catchphrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" delivered with a sly pout, resonated with audiences and cemented his status as NBC's littlest big man. Gary's talent wasn't confined to scripted lines. He became a sought-after guest on talk shows, effortlessly trading barbs with comedy legends like Johnny Carson. He even landed a string of made-for-TV movies built around his adorable persona, showcasing his comedic range. Modest film roles and an animated series, The Gary Coleman Show, further solidified his fame. By the mid-'80s, he'd amassed an impressive fortune of nearly $18 million. However, the dream began to sour as Gary matured. He felt restricted by his cute kid image and yearned for more adult roles. While the 18-year-old Gary welcomed the end of Different Strokes in 1986, he soon discovered a harsh reality. After Different Strokes ended, things went downhill for Gary. He wasn't used to not being the star anymore, and it made him super frustrated. There were even rumors of a Different Strokes curse, because all 3 of the main kids had problems later in life. Gary's problems were mostly money and legal stuff. He argued with fans, got arrested a few times, and even pretended to try suicide a couple times out of frustration. It turned out his adopted parents stole a bunch of money from him when he was a kid, around $3.8 million. But by the time he sued them and won a settlement, $128 million, most of it was gone after taxes, lawyer fees, and his medical bills. By 1999, with no acting jobs and a ton of bills, Gary had to file for bankruptcy. He ended up taking jobs outside of Hollywood, like being a security guard. He even did some silly things like appearing on reality shows and running for governor as a joke to try to make some money. Gary even tried to find love again in 2007, marrying a younger actress he met on a movie set. But things didn't work out, and they ended up in court over arguments. He later moved to Utah and kept trying to act. In 2009, he even filmed a low-budget comedy movie. Sadly, his health problems kept getting worse. He had heart surgery and then a heart attack in early 2010. In May 2010, after a fall at home, Gary had a seizure and bleeding in his brain. He died at the age of 42. It's a sad story of a talented kid who brought so much joy to people, but who later faced grown-up problems with money, health, and relationships. John Wesley, as Mr. Jim John Wesley, a dedicated actor who graced screens for over 5 decades, passed away in 2019 at the age of 72. His career, a testament to perseverance, took him from Louisiana stages to Hollywood sets. Born and raised in Louisiana during the 40s and 50s, Wesley set his sights on California and an acting career in the early 60s. He landed guest spots on shows like My Three Sons and The Man from UNCLE, honing his craft with each performance. He also made his mark on the big screen with roles in films like Hang 'em High and Uptight. As the 60s drew to a close, Wesley's career took a hiatus as he served his country in the Vietnam War. Upon his return, he re-entered the world of acting, steadily building a resume with one-off appearances on various television shows. The late 80s saw Wesley land his first major role, playing Sweetswalker in the short-lived Dirty Dancing sequel series. This paved the way for even more memorable performances. he brought his comedic timing to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as Dr. Hoover, and audiences saw his dramatic side in films like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, alongside Sylvester Stallone. The 90s solidified Wesley's status as a reliable character actor. He brought the gruff charm of Mr. Jim to the sitcom Martin and lent his voice to the animated superhuman samurai Cyber Squad. Throughout his career, he continued to secure roles in both television shows and films, leaving a lasting impression on audiences. John Wesley's dedication to his craft is an inspiration. From his early days to his consistent presence throughout the decades, he enriched the entertainment world with his diverse talents. His legacy will continue to entertain viewers for generations to come. Sadly, he died on 8 September 2019 in Los Angeles, California. The Notorious B.I.G., as himself known throughout the music industry for his edgy lyrics and catchy beats, rapper Biggie Smalls also brought his talents to the entertainment industry. Born Christopher Wallace in Brooklyn back in '72, his life was rough from the start. Grew up in a tough neighborhood where things weren't exactly sunshine and rainbows. To make ends meet, he ended up selling drugs, which wasn't exactly the best choice. After spending some time behind bars, Biggie got his hands on some recording equipment and started rapping in his buddy's basement. Believe it or not, his rhymes were so good they got passed around and even played on the radio. Even though he wasn't exactly a looker, Biggie had a certain charisma that people dug. A music dude named Puff Daddy heard his stuff and knew Biggie was something special. Together, they cooked up this whole Notorious B.I.G. persona, and Biggie's first album, Ready to Die, dropped in 1994. It blew up. Awards, fame, the whole shebang. Of course, trouble followed Biggie even with all the success. He still had run-ins with the law, but his friends always said he was a good dude deep down. Around this time, he even met another famous rapper, Tupac Shakur, and they were cool for a while. Tupac and Biggie were tight back in the day, even giving each other tips on their raps. But on November 30th, 1994, things went south. Both rappers were recording in the same New York studio by chance. Tupac got robbed and shot a bunch of times in the lobby. He blamed Biggie for the whole thing, saying Biggie knew about it and didn't warn him. This started a huge East Coast versus West Coast rap war. It wasn't just Tupac versus Biggie anymore, it was their record labels, Death Row versus Bad Boy, their bosses, Suge versus Puff Daddy, and even the fans. Everyone was picking a side. Crazy thing is, Tupac and Biggie supposedly had a secret chat later in 1995, where Tupac said they were just beefing to sell more albums. But then, in September 1996, Tupac was shot and killed in Las Vegas. Biggie, worried someone might come for him next, tried to calm things down. He even went to the West Coast to promote his new album and show there was no more beef. Sadly, it wasn't enough. On March 9, 1997, Biggie was shot and killed in his car in L.A. Sherman Hemsley as Mr. Washington. By day, he delivered the mail, but by night, he honed his acting skills, eventually landing a role on Broadway. That's where producer Norman Lear saw his talent and offered him the iconic role of George Jefferson on All in the Family, and later, The Jeffersons. Hemsley's portrayal of the grumpy yet lovable George Jefferson was a hit. His energetic performance earned him award nods and captured the hearts of viewers. He went on to star in shows like Amen and Good Behavior, never shying away from TV opportunities. Even in his later years, he continued acting in commercials, and even a play based on the Jeffersons with his on-screen wife, Isabel Sanford. Sherman Hemsley's impact on television is undeniable. He broke barriers as an African-American actor playing a successful character, a rarity in the 1970s sitcom world. He paved the way for future generations of black actors on television. In 1989, Hemsley, a dedicated jazz keyboardist, surprised fans with the release of his single, Ain't That a Kick in the Head? This wasn't a one-off venture. He followed it up with a full-fledged rhythm and blues album, Dance, in 1992. His musical passion even led him to perform on the iconic music show Soul Train around the album's release. After years of portraying the quick-witted George Jefferson, Hemsley strategically scaled back on his acting career. However, he continued to collaborate with his on-screen partner, Isabel Sanford. Together, they brought their beloved characters back to life for guest appearances on shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, commercials, and even dry cleaning conventions. They also toured with a stage adaptation of The Real Live Jeffersons. This dedication to the characters spoke volumes about the impact the show had on both actors and audiences. Hemsley ventured beyond sitcoms, showcasing his versatility. He appeared in films like Sprung alongside Sanford and even lent his voice to an episode of Family Guy. In 2001, he put his knowledge to the test on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, winning a significant sum for charity. His final on-screen appearance as George Jefferson came in 2011 on Tyler Perry's House of Pain, a fitting tribute to his enduring legacy. Sadly, Hemsley died at his home in El Paso, Texas on July 24, 2012, at age 74 due to superior vena cava syndrome, a complication associated with lung and bronchial carcinomas. Sonia Eddy as Lucille. Sonia Eddy will forever be remembered by many as the formidable nurse Epiphany Johnson on the long-running soap opera General Hospital. She brought this central character to life on both the main series and its short-lived spin-off, General Hospital Night Shift. But Eddy's talents went beyond the hospital walls. After graduating with a degree in theater and dance, she built a successful career with a variety of roles. She honed her skills on stage before making her television debut in the mid-90s. Audiences might recognize her from guest appearances on shows like The Drew Carey Show, Married with Children, and Beverly Hills 90210. Eddy graced our screens with recurring characters on shows like ER, Joan of Arcadia, and even sitcom classics like Seinfeld and The Drew Carey Show. She wasn't limited to television either. She appeared in the Hallmark movie of the week, The Reading Room, alongside acting legend James Earl Jones. Eddy's talents extended beyond the small screen. She held her own on the prestigious stage of the Geffen Playhouse in Los Angeles, where she shared the spotlight with John Goodman and Brenda Fricker in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. More recently, Eddy became a fan favorite with her portrayal of the no-nonsense head nurse Epiphany Johnson on General Hospital. This role even landed her a spot in SoapNet's primetime drama General Hospital Night Shift. Her talent for drama wasn't limited to soap operas. She also guest-starred on shows like CSI Crime Scene Investigation. Whether it was a comedic turn on Everybody Hates Chris or a dramatic role on Strong Medicine, Eddy was a scene stealer. Her versatility allowed her to seamlessly transition between genres, leaving a lasting impression on audiences with each performance. She even holds the unique distinction of being the only actor cast twice on the medical drama ER. In 2006, Eddy landed the role that would define her career, Epiphany Johnson. As head nurse and mother to another character on the show, Eddy became a key player in the lives of many characters on General Hospital. Despite her dedication to the long-running soap, she even took on a role in the outrageous comedy Legit in 2013. Sadly, Sonia Eddy passed away in December 2022. Her talent and dedication to the craft were recognized posthumously with a Daytime Emmy Award in December 2023. Kathleen Freeman as Saleslady. Kathleen Freeman, the actress you might recognize from tons of movies, wasn't always a famous face. She actually started out really young, performing with her parents in a vaudeville show. Even though she was small in stature, she had a big personality. Kathleen even started her own theater group before getting discovered by talent scouts and landing movie roles. Freeman started making her mark on television in the late 1950s. She appeared in shows like Buckskin, a children's program showcasing her versatility. Throughout the following decades, she became a familiar face, appearing in recurring roles on shows like The Bob Cummings Show, Topper, and The Donna Reed Show. Freeman's comedic timing shone through on shows like The Lucy Show and Hogan's Heroes, where she portrayed memorable characters. However, she wasn't afraid to step outside of comedy. She co-starred in the sitcom Lots of Luck and even made appearances in historical dramas like Wagon Train. The 70s, 80s, and 90s saw Freeman become a television mainstay. She graced shows like Funny Face, I Dream of Jeannie, and The Beverly Hillbillies, often playing multiple characters within the same series, a testament to her range. Her voice acting talents also came to the fore with her portrayal of Peg Bundy's unseen mother on Married with Children. From Mama's Family to Growing Pains, Freeman continued to entertain audiences. She seamlessly transitioned into the 90s, appearing on shows like ALF, LA Law, and Roseanne. Her career wasn't limited to just live-action roles. She lent her voice to the animated series As Told by Ginger and even landed a bit part in the blockbuster film Shrek. Tragically, Freeman's remarkable career was cut short. Her final years saw her continue to work actively, with a recurring voice role on As Told by Ginger and a guest appearance on Becker. A testament to her dedication to the craft, she even received a Tony Award nomination for her work on Broadway. In a show of respect, the creators of As Told by Ginger rewrote the final episode to reflect her passing. That's a look back at some of the talented actors who brought these iconic characters to life. Who was your favorite character and why? Share your thoughts and memories in the comments below. Who will be featured on our next classic sitcom cast tribute? Stay tuned to find out. See you next time.